everyone. Welcome back to Tuesday Tea with your hosts, Alisha and Melissa. Today, and Walter, who's
Hi,
joining us as
Walter.
well. Today, we have the pleasure of my husband, Taylor,
Hey
being our
everybody.
guest. So we are joining you from my office together. But I'm going to let him introduce himself even more fully. But Taylor is a badass human who is from Cleveland, Ohio, and was in the Coast Guard for 21 plus years and now does mortgages and is a bona fide day trader, which he'll talk more about. But he is truly my best friend and such a great person. And I am happy that he gets to be on today to chat about this topic of finances in a sort of unique way, because I think especially as females, Melissa and I have touched on this before,
Yeah.
we are socialized and have been learned differently sometimes than how men generally are about what money means and how to think about it and how to talk about it. And so I think he's gonna have some really great wisdom to share with everyone that we talk about in our personal lives as well. So welcome, babe.
I'll try, thanks.
And I'll let you introduce yourself.
So first off, thank you so much for having me on. It's an honor. I know you have some really awesome guests. I know you just had my friend Brian on. Awesome guy. So again, I appreciate it. It's also nice being on the east wing of the compound. I don't make it over here too often because she's so busy, run everything.
Yeah.
But no, my name's Taylor. I did 21 years in the Coast Guard. Retired before I was 38. That was a big goal of mine. When Alisha first asked, hey, do you want to talk? Do you have anything that you could share? Experiences, I started thinking leadership, military, training, this, that. And, that's one thing. I wanted to talk about something that's really, really uncomfortable for people to talk about. And I wanted to share my personal experience with it, and that's debt.
Yeah.
So just a real quick little bit about myself. My parents were very young when they had me. Two of the hardest working people I've known. They valued money, they valued time, and they valued their lives, which I think was very, very important growing up. We weren't the most well off. We just didn't have tons of money to spend. But I tell you what, my parents both worked so hard to give me, and now I have my brother's 11 years younger than me, to give him everything that we both have and everything that we've learned. So growing up, not having a whole lot of money, we were forced to kind of be patient, right? Don't use credit cards. Don't put yourself in debt. For instance, I had this crazy sneaker, fetish, fashion, everything.
It started young.
It started really, really young. I still have a bunch, whatever. That's another day. But I can remember being a kid wanting the new Jordans. And instead of my parents maybe just buying them for me, they would take me to the store and put them on layaway. So, 3, 4, 5 months until I could get the money, I was going to the mall. Here's my $20 payment. Here's my $10 payment. Anytime I got a little bit of extra money, I bought it. It was on layaway. No credit. None of that. As I got older, I started learning the importance of credit use and debt and this. And I was always taught, if you'd get 0% interest, let somebody else pay it, borrow their money for free. All good, right? Yeah, that helps. It helps build your credit and all that. As time went on, I started learning that your credit score is just a rating that you're really good at borrowing money. And I think it's sad that that's where we are in life, is we have to be good at borrowing money just to get a house, to get a car, to get anything now. Even just a little bit of help for a down payment toward a house, you have to have your good credit, right? How good are you at borrowing money? So I was taught no debt, no debt, no debt. 2007, me and two friends, and I used to tell this story to a lot of people in the Coast Guard, because you're making pretty good money, you're young, you have a steady paycheck coming in, you don't worry about investments, all you worried about is that check on the 1st and 15th, let's go spend it. We worked really hard, it's time to party, it's time to buy ourselves and treat ourselves with nice things, right? So that's kind of where I was. Go to Vegas for my 21st birthday. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, small town guy. Didn't really know much about Vegas, didn't know much about being such a small fish in a big pond.
Sure.
Me and two of my best friends, we show up to Vegas. I took about $3,000 in cash for the.
Real.
It's Memorial.
I know.
My birthday's Memorial Day weekend. We're staying at the Hard Rock. We're going to the rehab party.
When it like first came out.
It's
Do you
right, like
remember
the
that
first
episode?
year they did it, so it's
Yeah.
a big thing. We were big into the UFC. We were gonna go see Chuck Liddell and Quentin Jackson fight. It was just like a dream come true, right? You're 20
Yeah.
years old now, 21, going to Vegas. Let's go. I remember the first night, like I said, took about $3,000 cash with me. Took a couple credit cards that I had. I think I had, that Capital One card that everybody gets when they're 18. And it had like this crazy limit for, being so young. But anyway, took it for an emergency. Took my credit card just in case something happened and I needed that money, right? So like,
Just in case you needed to like put 1,000 on black.
took 3K. The first night, I take $500 cash, right? I'm like, this is good, right? $500. Like this is fair. We want to go to the UFC fight. That ticket's $250. So now I'm down $250 cash. Go to the UFC fight, enjoy ourselves. Let's go to the roulette table. Yeah, let's just see what happens, right? I know what I'm doing. We can gamble, whatever. It's fun. $150 gone within 5 minutes. Don't know what I'm doing. Have no idea. Put it on black, put it on whatever, gone. So my spending cash for the night, the first night, gone. We were on the strip and all my cash was at the Hard Rock. So I wasn't going to go back to the Hard Rock. It's a couple miles away, whatever. So I said, well, I got a credit card on me. Why don't I just get cash with that? Yes. Everybody has the same reaction. Everybody. But I say, I can go to the front desk. They can run it just like an ATM, right? Like if I'm just going to run my credit card, I could get cash. Sure. So I go up to the front desk. I'm not staying at the hotel, but I said, hey, if I give you this credit card, can you give me cash? And she's like, yeah, absolutely. How much are you looking for? Well, the limit I think is like 6,000. Why don't you just give me the whole 6,000? Why don't you just give me the whole 6,000?
Dear.
Let's see what happens, right? Counting it out, $6,000 in cash. Go back to the table. I don't know, lose another couple $100. Still have some cash in my pocket. We're good, right? Well, get back to the Hard Rock. The next day, I want to do some shopping. I'm in Vegas, They have all the malls and all the shopping and all these like great stores that I don't have access to in Ohio. So I'm buying all the Affliction and all of the Obey and all these big brands that I clearly can't afford, right? So I'm buying it, all my cash, buying it. We're eating out, great restaurants, not knowing that they upcharge everything.
Yeah.
They're covering the high roller so that they could get comped. I'm paying full price for these steak dinners.
Right.
But whatever, it's my birthday. I have cash in my pocket. Who cares? I'm not even thinking that I took a cash advance on $6,000. Not even thinking about that. So spend it, shopping. We go to the rehab party, blow it. So the whole weekend I spent the $6,000 in cash plus the $3,000 in cash that I took.
Oy.
The whole weekend. Gambling, food, drinks, everything. It was a $9,000 weekend for me. It was great. I had a blast, right? So much fun. The first bill comes, and I'm like, I know I took the $6,000 out, but why am I paying what's the 50% interest for? It should be much lower. Oh no, 50% interest because you took a cash advance, Mr. Mudrock.
Oh dear.
Oh. Okay. So now I'm 21 years old, making somewhat decent money. My bill comes. I at least know deep down in the back of my mind, I at least have to make the minimum payment, right?
Yeah.
Which was like $19. I'll make that. That's fine. $19. I'm still getting a paycheck. I could go spend everything else, right? Now comes the fun part. I want to trade my truck in, right? So I go to the dealership. They run my credit. I had like a 790. I'm 21 years old. They're like, you can buy any car on the lot. You have steady income. You have a great credit score. What do you want? So I buy this Volvo S60. It was used, but it was kind of pricey. I love the car. It was awesome. Great interest rate, I think. I don't even remember. Making the payments on that. Next thing I know, I think I got an email or a letter in the mail that said, hey, transfer your balance to this balance credit card, 0%. for 12 to 18 months. So I'm like, oh, my dad always said, borrow somebody else's money. That's 0% interest. Why don't I do that? So that $6,000 that I had cash advance, let's roll that right on into I think it was a Chase Visa card.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have this 6,000 paid off in no time, right?
Yeah.
Didn't make any payments because why would I? I'm getting the bill. It says amount due $0. Okay, I don't know anything. 12 months later, I get hit with all of the interest that I would have accrued over 12 months plus 50% because that's how the small fine print was. So now my $6,000 in debt goes to like 10, and I'm just like, okay, what's the minimum payment here? $40. I could pay that. Paying $40 every month, $40 every month. And I'm looking, the balance is going up, but I'm making payments.
I know.
What is going on? So I finally started really looking into it. I'm like, what am I doing here? What am I doing wrong? Everything's going up. My balance isn't going down. I have great credit. I like nice things, so it'll work itself out. I'll keep making the minimum balance. Eventually it'll go down. So what do? I go buy a brand new motorcycle. Took a loan out for it. So now I got this beautiful car. I got a brand new bike. You know what? Let's just get another credit card. Why wouldn't I? So now I have 2 Chase Visas. I'm spending my cash on just to kind of stay alive. Insurance, car payments, rent here and there. So then my credit card usage is for eating out, going to TGI Fridays at 10 p.m. Like stuff you should not be using a credit card for.
Yeah.
Charge it, whatever. I'll make the minimum payment. No big deal. I'll eventually get myself out of it. Something will happen, whatever. Flash forward, I get stationed in Savannah, Georgia. I buy my first house, right? Have great credit. Did a VA loan. Lived in the house for a couple years. Turned around, sold it. The money that I made on that, I should have taken that and invested it into a new home, a new property, more ETFs, mutual funds, 401k, any of that to be ahead. I had to pay off all my debt, all my credit cards, which at the time, after all was said and done, was a little over $10,000. After the interest, compounding, all of that, it was about $10K in credit card debt. To me, it was a lot. To some people, that's not a lot. But to me, it was killing me. I couldn't sleep at night. I was stressed out about money when I shouldn't have been. I had steady income. I was taught to invest early. My dad set me up with mutual funds when I was like 17, and I was putting money away.
Yeah.
All of this money that I'm spending on these stupid credit cards, I look back, I'm like, I could have been so far ahead. And my dad and my mom, they taught me so good to not use credit cards. Emergency, fine. 0% interest, fine. Pay it off, whatever. I'm starting to see, doing mortgages, people taking loans out of their house, the equity of their home. These people have had their homes for years and have amazing equity in their homes. They should be taking that money out to redo their kitchen, redo their bathroom, take their families on a trip, pay for college for their kids, or whatever. They shouldn't be taking money out of their house to pay off debt. I had an Army soldier reach out to me. Hey, I'm in a bad spot. My credit's not so good. We have some utility bills that are backed up a couple months. I need to pay my utility bills, gas, water, and electric. This person was down so bad that he wanted to take money out of the equity of his home to pay off utilities. This is where we're living right now. This is not just a new generation. This is everywhere. Everybody wants things so fast. Nobody's willing to be patient anymore.
Yeah.
Nobody's willing to even just put that work in, let your money grow, and then eventually you're not even going to have to worry about money.
Yeah.
I was there. I've experienced it. I wanted everybody else to know that. Like I said, all the people that I worked with in the Coast Guard, young, old, I told that story to. I told them how bad it was, how stressful it was. And hopefully, even, doing this podcast with y'all, that somebody looks at their credit card and they're like, you know what? I don't need those Jordans right now. I'm going to wait. I don't need those jeans right now. I'm gonna wait. I don't need that steak dinner. Let's just wait on it and see what happens later.
Yeah. Really good advice. It's wild though, because I feel like everything is so expensive now too, that like people, even when I read this, I was listening to Eric loves to like watch all these like these financial things, like probably like what you do. And they were saying that like, don't quote me on this, but I don't remember the exact percentage, but like a huge percentage of Americans, even when they make $100,000, are still like living paycheck to paycheck. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
that's actually like a pretty decent amount of money to make. I mean, not so much if you live like in like a really expensive city, but if you live like generally where like most Americans live, $100,000 should be enough that you're still able to save or invest, right? You would think. But man, I just, as a single parent too now, like I just, I get it. Like the stressors of money is so real. And I think then starts to like impact your health too and your mental health, because you're like stressed out and worried and like no one wants you to get out of debt, really. Like the big companies and like, banks and all that, like they want you to be in debt because they're collecting like, that's
So
like
much free
they're
money.
rolling them, every percentage of interest that you're paying and you're not paying it off right away. It's wild.
Yeah, it's sad. It's a hustle. When we
Mhm.
lived in Miami for a couple years, it was a hustle.
Yeah.
And even if you're not trying to keep up with people, you
You
are.
have to.
You kind of
Yeah.
are. Like
Yeah.
you're in a spot where you want to have fun, you want to enjoy it, you want to live, the life.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have to just take a step back and really think, what is this going to look like 2 years out? What is this going to look like 5 years out? What is this going to look like
Totally.
10 years out? And when you're 21, I wasn't looking at that.
No, of course not.
I wanted all the clothes. I wanted the watches. I wanted the shoes. I wanted bottle service in Vegas.
Mhm.
And I'm like showing up with $3,000 in cash. Like that's
It's like one afternoon of bottle service.
but if I wouldn't have taken that money out, we still would have had a great time. Like I said, I had two of my best
Totally.
friends with me. Like it would have been such a good time. So you can still have fun. You can still enjoy your life without
Yeah.
worrying about spending. Now,
Right.
emergencies, things that you need, you got to do what you got to do. There's nothing,
Yeah.
if it's for your family, it's for yourself, something that is definitely going to actually benefit you, then do it. But if it's not, I cut the cards up. When I paid off all of those bills, all those credit cards, when I sold my house, I cut them up. I think I still have the picture of all my cards cut up. And I sent it to my dad. I sent the picture to my dad. I said, look, Pops, out of debt, zero credit card debt. Now, you know what? I use one credit card for everything because once you get ahead, then you could work. Yeah, you could work these companies, let them
Totally.
send you money, send you offers, and take
Yeah.
advantage of it, and then you pay it off.
Exactly.
That's, and that's where we are now. And I really wanted to show people that if you are in debt, you can get yourself out. It
Totally.
does happen. It happens to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, when
For
I'm
sure.
doing these mortgages, people are borrowing money to get themselves out of debt. And if that's what you
Yeah.
got to do to do it, then great. It's just
Mhm.
a sad state, and I think it does need to be addressed more than we are.
I agree.
What do you think was your mindset shift to choose to like pay the debt down instead of saying, well, I've lived with it this long? Because this was quite a few years in between, so whatever. What do you think happened for you to make that more conscious decision and choose to spend the money on something boring like debt but important versus like continuing that, well, I'll avoid it and just like figure it out next time I move or whatever else?
So I just got fed up with paying. Then I started paying a little bit more than the minimum, and my balance was still not going down. I love
Totally.
a list. I love checking things off of a list, and I like when I make that full payment and I see a zero.
Yeah.
That is like one of the most satisfying things to me. It's still to this day. First of the month, bills are due. Zero, there it is. I budgeted out. This is how much okay, it's zero. It's just such a good feeling, and I knew that I had a good chunk of money in, and I knew that I was going to feel really, really good once I hit submit to close out all of those accounts. And that's what it hit for me is, I just got so tired of looking at these bills and going nowhere with it. And this was my one chance to finally get ahead.
Yeah, it's like a stairmaster, right? Like you're climbing, but you're never actually getting anywhere.
Never.
Two things I was thinking about when you were just talking and like saying all of that stuff. Number one, I feel like we have to do better at teaching, like financial literacy should be part of like schooling curriculum. To me, it's like we teach people how to read and write, and that's great. And like math, it's all basic skills you need for life. And yet we don't teach one of the things that you like actually need in your day-to-day life. Like one of the most practical skills you could ever need is about like financial literacy, debt, like interest. All of these things are so important, and we just send kids, like to your point, Taylor, send kids off 18 years old.
Yep.
Go be an adult. And it's
Yep.
like you're making all of these really dumb choices because your frontal lobe isn't even developed yet, you know, until you're 25.
Right.
But we like give kids, oh, you have a 750 score, great, you can buy this car, and you're you know, it's just insane. Like that is nuts to me.
Yeah.
I think one of my favorite memories that drove me crazy as a kid was I would have to sit with my mom at the kitchen table at the bar top and balance a checkbook. And it
My parents made me do it, too.
Taylor, we're gonna balance your checkbook. And this was around the time when apps were coming out and you could do everything online. I'm like, Mom, look, like my checking account is fine. But back then it would pen for like 72 hours.
Yeah.
So I'm like spending all of this money thinking I have $1,000 in there and it hasn't caught up yet because it's still pending.
Yeah.
Taylor, you have to write it down and subtract it. And we went through it. If I messed it up, she would erase it. She would line through it. I'd have to go through the whole thing again. But I feel so like blessed that my parents took the time to sit down and go over that with me day after day after day. Because school, well, you do home ec. I think we did like one day of balancing a checkbook, and then the rest was I was making pancakes and
sewing shorts,
whatever. Sewing hoodies.
Yeah.
So no, we do need to be better about teaching people.
And I think that's like to your point too. Even your family, what you grew up with, was really thoughtful about money and conservative and same. Like my dad, it felt like it was the worst thing ever if I ever like didn't pay a credit card on time. I thought it was like gonna go straight to hell, right? Like, it was like, don't do that. And even still, with all of that great knowledge that your parents shared, which not every person has the opportunity to have parents who have that knowledge to share or who are so wise with their money, you still could fall into a space where you still got sucked into the trap, so to speak, right? And I think it really comes back to values. And I think we've come to a place where, sure, things are more expensive and blah, blah, blah. But I think our values are so out of whack because consumerism, whether we think we subscribe to it or not, like your bank account, your debt, your this, shows it. Because if your value truly is futures, experiences, etc., then you're going to make different choices in what you can do now. And still we can have a great time without having to go to the best, fanciest Instagrammable restaurant, without buying the most designer thing, without needing 18 pairs of sweatpants. Like the two I have are fine. I don't need a new one just because I saw a cute one on an Instagram ad. Like you don't need a new car or the new, like, and a need and a want gets tricky, and not to deny life is short, but I do think it comes back to like values. And it sounds like around that age as well, your values sort of started shifting.
Yeah.
Which was lining up. And I know, especially now where we're at, like it is a very different place than then. And you still like nice things and you work hard for those things, but you don't buy what you can't justify or afford, or like to continue the sustainability of the life that you also want to have in conjunction that's outside of just things or even just experiences, right?
Totally. Yeah.
Means.
I agree. And I think like the other thing I'm thinking about is how this particular, like as a woman and like being, I think also growing up in the church, like I want to acknowledge that maybe some women are not taught these things. Maybe it was the conjunction of living in a evangelical home that subscribes to like a lot of upholding of patriarchy and misogyny and all of those things, right? I do think like the church at large upholds those things. So that kind of intersection. Walter agrees. Walter is a feminist. I love it, Walter. Yeah, you tell him, Bubba. He's like really got amped up when I started talking about it.
Like,
I'm so proud of you,
Walter.
Are you a feminist? No, I just think that that intersectionality of like those parts of my identity, and I'm sure other people like I know you can relate to some of this as well, Leash, but it's like I also wasn't like I was taught about money and I still fell into some traps, and I think some traps are like not talked about a lot. Like if I were to go back and do it again, I would absolutely never combine 100% of my money with a spouse. Like I feel like I got totally fucked because I thought that was what I subscribed to, is like, that's being a wife. Like, you join with your husband, you leave everything else behind. And it's like, I would never teach my children that. I would never want my daughter to feel like she's dependent on a man. I still think you can build like a really awesome partnership. And yes, you have some joint account that pays for your house or pays for these things or your kids or whatever, right? But absolutely, I think you should always have your own money. And like, yeah, I fell into a lot of that thinking it was like the right thing.
Yeah.
But really, it actually just made, I had to pay the price. Like, I feel like I'm still rebuilding my life because I had all this debt from going through a divorce. And like, I had no idea that he wasn't bringing in very much money because he wanted to control the finances. So here I am working my ass off, being the breadwinner. And I still am like in debt because I have to like pay off this divorce. So I don't know. I just feel very strongly about women, particularly having financial independence and having at least some knowledge about those types of things. And yeah, I feel really strongly about teaching young women that it's okay to be independent. It doesn't mean like you're a bad wife or like less than. It's just smart. It's just to protect yourself, because whether or not you plan to be with their partner forever, it's just good sense to like plan, like kind of hope for the best and plan for
the worst,
any situation that could happen, you know?
Yeah.
Plus, like, if I'm working full time, why should someone else control my money? Like, that's crazy. I'm going to have some say or like wherewithal when it comes to like my own, like what I'm bringing in. And yeah. So anyway, that's just like my personal connection and sort of like thing I'm thinking about, particularly like raising a daughter, you know?
And something I've appreciated about Taylor, like, it's just funny. We both have the same financial advisor for our investments, and Ed just takes X amount out of my bank account every month, and then things happen to it, and sometimes I get stuff in the mail, and I like, that's all I know, and I'm just like, I trust this man implicitly. I mean, he is not a shady person, he's a good dude, but like, that's wild. He has so much of my money, and I'm just like, it's fine. Taylor checks it every day. He has the app. I'm like, there's an app? Like, you know, he has his own. We actually don't share finances, and more just we got married later, and same with you, like that's a sore part for me of like someone telling me or asking permission to spend money when he would never, but like same. Like, I need to know, I want mine, I'll do my thing, you do yours. We talked about it, but it's just so different because I'm just so like, I don't want to, it stresses me. I'm like, I don't want to know, but that's a terrible, like I should want to know. It's empowering to know. And that's where I think he's really pushed me to say, okay, you don't have to be as like, I don't need to get on my bank account every day like Taylor does to like look at everything. Maybe that's not for me, but I should check what's happening on my credit card.
But you should generally know like what your balance is,
how much do I have,
right?
Yeah,
totally.
like, where you're financed, and I was like, oh, a whole nother. I had no idea. Like, I just had no idea. I mean, it's a great, fun surprise, but like that's my own personal relationship with money, and it comes from a lot of different places. Could be a whole other episode, but I think like him gently just modeling or encouraging or pushing like, hey, you don't work for anyone, you should have your own retirement plan set up because you don't have a boss who's gonna get a company that's gonna give it. And I'm like, oh, probably should. You know, that's just been so empowering for me, and it's sure it helps him out on some level, like if I die or whatever, you know, but it's not, it's more for me that he wanted that for me, which I really appreciate, and his own experiences. And I could have never like had credit card debt or do all the things, but it doesn't mean I'm investing in my future. It doesn't mean I feel empowered in my money. And yet that is slowly happening. And I think it's through conversations like this, being honest, being transparent. It feels uncomfortable, but getting in there, and it's going to hit for different genders, different positions in life, different upbringings, but it's still this really universal thing. It's the root of a lot of things, right? Like it's the thing that comes up over and over for people. I think we're constantly evolving our relationship with money.
Totally. And I think to your point, like we have to talk about these things more. Like the more we talk about things, like the less they have like that taboo or like lose that, like we want there to not be mystery around these things, because these big financial institutions, they want us to all be in like silos operating independently and not knowing what's going on. I think a huge thing is just talking about how much you get paid with your colleagues. Like, I know that's different for you, Leash, because you're like your own, boss, but like, when we started these conversations with the girls at my work, we were like shocked about some of the stuff, and the company wanted it that way because
Right.
I'm like, wait, why am I making less but I have more experience? Like, you know what I mean? So I think any conversations we can have to normalize conversations about these like uncomfy topics, but the better it will be for sure. But I appreciate that about y'all's relationship, and I think we should do more about like how to have these conversations too, like couples. Eric, same thing. Like, I feel like I'm so embarrassed about what happened to me through my divorce. And I've forgiven myself now. And I know that why I made those decisions at the time. I was trying to make my marriage work. And I thought that's what I was supposed to do as like a good Christian woman or whatever. But I'm like, I will never be in that position again where I don't know like how much money I have in my bank, like how much my bills are, how much money's going in and out. So like Eric had me do this like whole financial spreadsheet. So every month on the first of the month, I sit down and I go through all of my finances for the month. It's like an Excel sheet with like formulas and all this other shit that I'm like literally couldn't care less about. But it is like, it's sometimes very jarring. Like, God damn, I spent how much on groceries this month, but it's just like important that we're creating awareness, right? I'm not going to be perfect. I still am going to always do certain things because I can't take this money with me at the end of the day. And I want to create experiences and enjoy my life. And I also have to be smart and practical, and like, I can't spend all my money. And that's not smart either. So, I love that. And I, relate to that a lot. And I think it is important to have a partner that in general supports you and pushes you in whatever ways, but particularly if you're not someone that's so aware of your finances. Yeah, I think it's sort of like liberation for women is to like really know what is going on in our bank accounts. And that's like a form of, not upholding patriarchal idealism. So I think that's beautiful that Taylor has helped you with that.
Yeah. What last piece of wisdom or advice, nugget of whatever?
I would just say I think a lot of our spending comes from so much competition because we get so caught up in social media. And even if you're not thinking, I have to have a better watch than this person, like maybe in your subconscious you want that because will it make you feel better? Did somebody else get it? So I think when it comes to spending, you really have to ask yourself why. Like, why do I really, really want this or need this? And that answers so many questions. If you want that Chanel bag, like, why do you want that Chanel bag? If you want, whatever it is that you want, like that big purchase, figure out why. And I was taught, sleep on it for 7 days. In 7 days, you still want it that bad, then go buy it. You have to treat yourself. And what the guy last night say, who had a bartender yesterday, went and got wings, watched some football, he said, everything in moderation, even moderation. It's like sometimes you just have to splurge and do big things. Don't put yourself in a really, really bad financial position, but if you have it, spend it, treat yourself, treat your family. That's all I would say. I could sit here all day and say, don't stress about money. Everybody does. Everybody does. You're going to stress about money. But if you can limit the reasons that you're stressed about money, you can sleep much better at night. So,
thanks, babe.
no, thanks for having me on.
It was so fun to have you here.
Yeah.
Come to Chicago for our weekend soon so we can play.
Let's play in real life. All right. Well, we will see you guys next week. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.